But that story is for another day. It is 11 p.m. Um, what we would normally do at this point, but since this is just, it's not to the death, we would do the duel, which
Yeah,
we can, which we can skip. Or okay,
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna duel him.
Mhm.
you're not gonna duel Shiv?
Nah.
Would Gallagher even show?
Chaos, that's totally valid. The
Oh yeah,
chaos of
Gallagher.
this.
Like you all go back to the same place, and he's there, and he's just like, is this what kind of security in like how you protect your scion? This is an outrage. He's
I'm gonna slap
clearly
him and challenge him to a duel.
slap him.
Yeah,
He'll take the honor loss and then have
thought
you
you would,
duel
asshole.
Shiv. Like
That's
he's
fine.
like, all right, now we are since you declared the duel. Um, he gets to pick weapons. You get to pick to the death or not. So if you really want to do
Okay.
this duel with Shiv,
Yeah,
Gallagher is gonna demand to the death.
I thought I got to decide that part
You
because I
do,
challenged him.
you do, but he's gonna demand it. But you can say no. Well,
Denied.
your second would say no.
No. You don't get to decide this one, Gallagher.
Okay, well, all right. So if you're very much all right, I want to do this. All right, I've got 5 dice for Shiv. It was the original duel was for um for pistols, right? Pistols
Yep.
first blood. And so
Yep.
this will be it'll be the last chance then for the seconds to get together and be like, is there any way that you guys can resolve this without it going to a duel? Do you guys even talk? Like, because it'd be Gallagher and Bartok. Gallagher is like, I have nothing to say.
I wouldn't bother to say it if I had.
All right, they set up the duel. Normally there'd be a third party there to act as the mediator on it, but you guys are just going to do it. The town is in complete chaos, so you're just going to go out to the front of the hostel you're staying at and do it there. There's still some chunks torn up from the street from the fight earlier with the Mechazilla. All right, you understand how it goes? 10 paces and then shoot. Do you wish to do anything different than abide by the rules of the duel?
I take my pistol and I throw it on the ground before I even do it. I'm like, this is rigged from the beginning. This is horseshit. You
Okay,
want
you
to
will.
Shiv? If you want to turn around and shoot me, you can, but you know this isn't right. I'm not gonna do it. I'll make the paces. I'll turn. I'm not shooting anybody. My beef is not with you.
Uh, it's like honor must be restored. So you don't do the steps or not. Shiv
I'll do the
carries out.
steps.
Okay,
I'll do the steps, but I just turn around, but I'm not gonna shoot anybody.
okay. You spin arms wide. Shiv turns. One shot. Perfect. Just nicks your furry red ear.
He has a good shot.
Honor has been restored. And Shiv like just throws his weapon down and walks away. Now, because you lost a duel, you will lose 2 honor. Okay. Because it was a duel that went to full completion, you would also lose 1 honor period, permanently. Okay. Now
Okay.
we didn't go over those rules ahead of time, so I'm not going to worry about that. All right.
Yeah,
But
hold on.
I, we'll talk about that sort of things in the future, whether that's like that works or not, systematic or. However, the duel is over. The saga comes to an end. Now, there's obviously a lot of questions that are going to happen here. You completed your contract, though, right? You got the right pricing for your guild house. You, the story of Mother Ram comes to an end in a very bizarre fashion. The mystery of the Star Child remains a mystery. Um, you get back to the guild. Remember, it's a 2-day train ride back underneath the mountains to get um, back to your civilization. And once you're there, Sovereign Kolwyn.
Hear me. I would also try to get answers from Gallagher in that time, but we don't actually have to play that out.
Oh, what would you want?
Well, what went down with? Well, I would want to find out from Gallagher what went down with the guy shooting at us or at the tower.
Well, clearly your incompetence for protecting your scion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you get
Which is
back to the
why I
guild.
knew it was
Yeah,
coming.
you know he's full of it. You know that he knew that this was, well, at least the mercenaries were coming. Shadowlocks was coming. You knew that at least. All right, you get back to the guild house. Uh, your sovereign Kolwyn is absolutely incensed. Um, House Deepstar has called off the betrothal, um, citing that how you guys couldn't protect even the people that you had with you, how Gallagher was treated without honor, and the betrothal is called off. Now, that's not part of your contract. That doesn't cost you money. It does cost you an ally that you could have gained from Deep Star, but you're not quite sure what kind of ally you would have wanted with them anyway. Well, he's not with Gallagher. His father probably would have been fine. Um, and so, like, Colwyn doesn't know everything that happened, but doesn't know that a Mechazilla was involved somewhere. And obviously, bizarre stuff. He's willing to listen to you. He's not gonna. There's no really such thing as punishing people in this guild house. There is kicking people out though. He doesn't feel like he needs to kick you guys out. You guys did the best you could. He can still try and find a betrothal with some other house at this point, and that's how that saga ends. Now, if we are going to keep playing this particular saga, um, because we are going to stop this. I will give you the rest of the stories if you want them. It sounds like you really want to know like what the deal was with Gallagher anyway. Um, so Gallagher hired the mercenaries to do a fake attack to actually try and kidnap Cyan Lysa if they could. Um, so that's why he never felt like he was in danger because they were never going to shoot at him, right? And you go back, you do investigation if that tower was still standing and all that stuff. You realize that all the shots that were like even kind of aimed at him or whatever were set at a certain level that his armor that he had on, he would never be hurt by any of it. So he was totally safe. That was set up because he wanted the betrothal to fail. Okay. So by the betrothal failing, he gets married, he gets betrothed to someone else, someone named Lady Duchesne. And something horrible happens to Gallagher's father, which then you guys would have had the opportunity to do an investigative follow up to try and figure out, to try and track down assassins. for it. So the whole long play here was for Gallagher to never get married, to try and set it up. He didn't know that his father was going to try and do that to get him betrothed, to get him married off to Lysa. So he needed that to get stopped, right? And then get married to Summer to make that deal happen. Mother Ram incorrectly thought that the Star Child was just a power source to be able to create this giant thing to destroy the world, right? Um, but if you guys had gotten your hands on it or fought it or whatever, it would actually have been a guidepost to lead you to a basically space dungeon to find the other part of the Star Child and put it together. You guys would have been hounded by the Othin that you guys fought in the very first adventure way back when. And it was a reconstructed AI intelligence of the hive mind. And if that got loose or if it got used again, that the Othin in your area would have all been slave mind again. But those other Othin that were after it were from a different system, and they missed being under hive mind. They didn't like being free, so they were trying to come back to do that. It's a very bizarre, weird plot sort of thing. But that's pretty much everything. I know Aaron's dying over there. It's late there. It is past midnight.
No, I'm hanging in. I'm hanging in.
So it was a lot. And I want to thank you guys so much for going through the saga and playing it through with the rules. And I hope at least the storyline stuff uh, kept up. If you have any questions, please let me know. Or if you're very tired, just want to call it a night, I understand that too.
Yeah, I'll be sharper recapping another night, but we can stick around and say, kind of talk a bit if you want to. So, want a little bit of immediate debrief.
Yeah,
Well,
what do you want to know, Jared?
um, overall, if you have a second, it's like from the system that we played, what would you rather seen more of or less of, or like it seemed like once we got into the groove of using the system, it went pretty well. But were there things that were just too repetitive? Were we rolling too many dice? Um, like what kind of stuff worked there? Do you feel that the mechanics helped tell the story? That's really what I want to have happen, and I don't know if that happened every time or not.
I have no problem with the mechanics at all. I think they work well. Like they make sense. I think they're still um uh it can be a little subjective. Like how do you want to use it to do what you want to do? Like that's a good thing, right? Like there's not just one thing you can do to fight something. If you can justify uh using a skill, then you can do it. I think that makes complete sense. I think it's awesome. Um, I think that the sixes and the ones are fascinating. I think it's really good because things can really shift one way or the other for everybody. And I just the sort of like wild card thing you need. I think it's great. I'm I have no problem with the mechanics. I think they're smooth, and we've been doing this for a while now. They totally make sense to me. I feel good about them.
We had some really neat roles too that got to tell more of the mechanical story too, just from these really cool roles that I didn't expect to happen. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're doing this now. That's really cool. Like you, like almost one-shotting Mother Ram, like scared me half to death. I was like, no, she's supposed to be a little bit bigger than this, but I was like, well, all right, one more
She'd
hit and
just
she
won
goes
for
down.
herself. Yeah, I
um,
dumped a ton of points in all the bequeathments, right? But that's sort of the whole point of them being there, though, right? Is
yeah,
thinking about how all these pieces might fit together and why they're fitting together. I really do appreciate the ability and your in the way that you stuck with. Yeah, it's going to be vigor athletics unless there's some other narrative reason that it's something else, and being really open to that. So I really appreciated that part, and I think the system allows it to move pretty seamlessly. It didn't feel as though like I needed to like min max and come up with these elaborate excuses for why I can use this one that has a two instead of a one in it, because there is so much just 5d6 versus 66. It doesn't matter all enough to make it worth sort of getting crunchy and worrying about the probabilities, right? It's sort of narratively what matters, and I think that this system better than most allows that flexibility to come in a way that doesn't feel like you're gonna ruin the game if unless you're doing the min max, dice maxing yourself.
Yeah,
So I like the way that it allows that narrative to be forward rather than just the numbers.
right on. I, how did the personal storylines mix in with the main storylines? How did those go for you guys? And I know we didn't get back to what's her name? But, you know,
Which one? Which one didn't we get back to?
Oh my
yeah, Nephelina's
rival.
yeah, her rival. That one didn't come back in the storyline. It's like because she came in earlier on that one. I wanted to hit your guys's too, and Mary's too. So Mary's thing is that she's a heretic, and so like I was gonna have it be like a power struggle between her and Mother Ram for the cultists. It's gonna be like, all right, well, let's see if we can do that. That might be fun. Um, but did the personal stuff, did it seem effortlessly woven in? Uh, did it feel appropriate? I guess is the better question.
And that Regina showed up totally makes sense. And I mean, I think I got it from a tension table situation, but like, perfect sense. You're in the
Yeah,
middle of something where I was spying. Well, yeah, if she showed up and suddenly we're like back at our old habits.
yeah. Because of that scene, I actually started writing in every time you guys rolled a six on the tension table, that triggered a personal story because it just worked wonderfully there. And I'm like, you know what? It's not going to be easy to do as the GM every time to be like, oh, then this happens, right? And like Zinnia shows up during the middle of this huge fight. Like, no, like it's got to, we'll figure something out. Like the personal story gets involved somehow, you know? Um,
Like there's so much variation in how things go to have the tension table be only a d6 um, leaves the GM without a lot of options, right? Like the rat showed up a few times, right? Like
it
it,
did.
it, it might be nice to have sort of if you want to keep it simple d6, sort of here's the d6, right? Here's sort of examples, but maybe have it be two or three across. So like, okay, well that's the third time a four's been rolled. We don't want whatever. We don't want another
Yeah,
rat. Here's something in that category of sort of unfortunate physical altercation, right? So
yeah,
it's a rat, right? But there's a couple other ways that could happen. So maybe think about those six as categories of events, and maybe you already have, and maybe sort of flesh out what the variety might be there. Um,
yeah. The rat popped up quite a bit. It's also the easiest one to drop in at things. We did a long saga though here using the same tension table, and that's a good note to me. Going like, well, if a saga is going to go a certain amount of time, then maybe put in a couple different tension tables, or like you said, go like, hey, this one needs to do something to health. Here's your options. Just kind of throw it out there. And trying to extrapolate from the tension table is something I can't just say as a GM, do this, make a thing up that's happening right at that moment. Because not all GMs can do that, right? But the more that we were playing with it, boy, it became a lot easier for me to figure out, like, when Ruxton triggered it on that last time, having the charger be getting close to exploding. It was just an easy narrative thing to add in there. Like if he stays on there, or if he rolls 2 or 3 tension points while he's riding it still, it was going to explode. Just put in these dangerous things that can be avoided within the narrative. Like, so maybe let's try and expand on the tension table a little bit more. Because if we can do that, then this system really starts humming, I think. But
I think that Ruxton and pursuing the Lysa stuff, like probably added a whole nother degree of complication to jamming than would normally be there, right?
yeah, totally worth it though, right? I think we
Oh, I
all
think so
had,
too.
I think we
But
all
I think
had an awesome time doing that.
good. I think there should be a warning though, like as far as like, oh, you get a love letter from this chick. There might be some players that just won't let it. They won't drop it. Like that's the thing now, and now I'm going to pursue it. Like it's it can be good, but it can also really complicate things. And who knows what the fuck's gonna happen? You know what I mean? It becomes a super wild card at that point. You have no idea what might happen. So
Yeah.
um, I thought it was super fun. I love doing it, but could be really either annoying or distracting, or you know what I mean? Like it really take people off track. Um,
Mhm.
but I think we made it work. But as far as that being part of a module or part of a adventure, like be warned if you want to entangle players with NPCs, it might get really messy after a while. You know.
And I think that's okay. Like for this particular saga, I knew that you guys would go with Lysa on this particular adventure, but then from here on out, like you're gonna go out to space. Like you're not gonna be hanging around with. Now it's just every time you come back, something. She wouldn't be there all the time. So, but yeah, it's really up to the players to see how much it gets entangled. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing this other stuff, and I'm hoping you guys would be interested in doing another playtest that's going to be different. It's going to be a different feeling to it, I think. Um, so here's my idea: is that it's going to be a little bit more airship centric. Um, here's the idea: is I'm going to build out the world just a little bit more. I made a map, and on the map there's the edge of the world that goes off over here, and it's just like all clouds and like little spires that poke out or whatever. And that's going to be all free city states away from the guild structure on that side. And one of those city spires or whatever city states is completely obliterated. So your first mission is to go find out this whole city got blown up. What the hell? What's going on with it? Um, and then you go from there. Like trying to find like try to keep it 3 or 4 adventures to kind of keep it compact to really use the rules now that we know the rules. If you guys are interested in doing it, I'd love to have you back. Um, but yeah, just want to say thank you so much for doing this one. It's invaluable, and I've loved every moment for it. And let's go to bed.
That was good.
Right
This
on.
was awesome. Thank you. This has been a pleasure.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, Jared. We'll see you.
You bet.